Welcome back for section 2.5, count nouns. Now, that's known territory because count nouns in English work almost the same way as they work in French, and they are the more typical category, the one that you are more used to normally. But there are still a few things that we need to discuss. First, what to expect with count nouns? What's the grammatical norm? Well, count nouns must be marked for number. They must be either singular or plural. What it means concretely is that they're either singular and then there's no S at the end of it, but they have to be preceded by a determiner, or there is a final S and they are plural. It's either or. Now, it's not really obvious in French because sometimes you can have a count noun with nothing in front of it, like il est sorti sans chapeau. Now, chapeau is a count noun, but there's no article in front of it. It's not possible in English. You have to say he left without a hat, because hat is either singular and it has to be preceded by a determiner, or it's plural, but then it's hats. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Also, quite naturally, if the noun in the subject position is singular, then the verb concord, or the verb agreement, l'accord du verbe, is going to be singular as well. Same thing with a plural count noun, a count noun in the plural in the subject position, like potatoes, then the verb concord is going to be plural as well. These potatoes are unusual. Okay, we'll come back to that because that's rule is very true, but there are not exceptions, but things to be said. Last thing, also quite logically, if a noun phrase is replaced by a pronoun, it's what is called anaphora. Then if the noun is a count noun in the singular, the pronoun is going to be singular. This potato is unusual, it can talk. But if the noun is in the plural, potatoes, then obviously the pronoun is going to be in the plural as well. They can talk. Again, this is quite natural, but we'll come back to that as well. Let's have a look first at this rule. If a count noun is in the singular, it has to be preceded by a determiner in English. Even if, and here I made a mistake, even if the noun is part of a subject complement. It's written verb complement, but it's a mistake, okay? So even if the noun is an attribut du sujet. Now, in French, when the noun is a subject complement, an attribut du sujet, and when it describes a profession, an occupation, such as chanteur, docteur, actrice, whatever, you can get rid of the determiner. You can say, Monsieur P aurait aimé être chanteur, and you just drop the determiner. It's not possible in English. You have to say would have liked to be a singer. It is mandatory or compulsory. Also, in exclamative noun phrases, we don't have a determiner in front of it. In French, you can say quel beau costume. But in English, you really need the determiner because outfit, is a count noun, so you need a determiner. What a beautiful white outfit. Now, reversely, when you want to say that the weather is great, weather is non-countable, so you'd say, what beautiful weather, because in that case, it's a non-count noun. Okay, last thing, in French, sometimes you don't have determiners in appositions, such as honnête homme, ici, or after a negative preposition such as sans chapeau. Well, in English, that's not possible. Again, you need to say a serious man and without a hat. Okay, so also, second rule, I like to come back on that verb concord thing. Now, sometimes the count noun is in the plural, but it triggers a singular agreement or concord of the verb. Look at the example. I'm not going to pay £35 for the Hulk version of Mr. Potato Head. £35, countable noun in the plural, pounds, is too expensive. Now it feels quite normal and natural even to a French speaker, because in fact the verb concord is not with pounds, is with the notion of the amount, the whole amount. £35 constitute an amount, and is in agreement with that notion of amount. Now in French it would be slightly different. We could not say 35 livres est trop cher, but we would do a dislocation. 35 livres c'est trop cher. I'm not coming back on the definition of dislocation because you'll see that next year. Just remember that when the sentence is dislocated in French, moi, ma sœur, le poisson, son chat, il adore, you cannot translate in English by me, my sister, her cat, fish, she likes it. You really have to say, my sister's cat really likes fish, for instance. So here, the translation for £30 is too expensive is 35 livres, c'est trop cher. But I'm sure that's not too difficult. Also, there are slight differences between French and English in the way countable nouns are treated. For instance, in English, when two people shook hands, well, you consider that there are at least two hands involved. So hands is in the plural, but obviously you're not going to say ils se sont secoués les mains. You'd say elle ou elle se sont serrés la main, not les mains, because they have one hand each. So it's neither more iconic or less iconic than English, it's just a different way of seeing it. Same thing with elle a changé de travail. In French, you consider that there was one job at the beginning and one job in the end. So one job at a time, hence the singular. Whereas in English, in the end, she had two jobs, the previous one and the new one, hence the plural. Same thing with ils ont perdu leur chapeau. They have one hat each, singular in French, but in English you would rather go for the plural form because in the end there are two hats involved. We also did that exercise adapted from Murphy. So the first sentence you should read, Susan was wearing black jeans. Obviously you can't have a singular determiner in front of a plural nouns like jeans. Second sentence is I don't like hot weather. 30 degrees is too hot for me. There was no grammatical mistake. 30 degrees constitute an amount, so the agreement is singular. Reversely, sentence number 3, £10 are not enough is wrong. £10 is an amount of money, so you'd say £10 is not enough. I need more money for that. Sentence number 4, I'm going to buy new pajamas. It's a plural uncount noun, no article, no singular article. Now sentence number 5, scissors is also a plural uncount noun, so you need a plural form and a verb concord, and also it's not ver but very, obviously, so it would be these scissors aren't very sharp. And the last sentence is actually perfectly fine. 4 days constitutes an amount, so singular concord of the verb, and holiday is in fact a count noun. So you can say a holiday or holidays. Both are okay. Okay, don't forget to do Unit 75, and I'll see you in a few seconds for the last section of this chapter.